Hey, welcome back. Today we're joined by Chasity Lindsay, sharing how Sell to Rent helped her sell her home and stay as a renter.
Before I encountered Sell to Rent, it was a stressful process because I was having some issues with my credit score. So a lot of the other programs I didn't qualify for, and trying to find people on my own, it was such a strenuous process because I needed a lot of repairs made on my home. I found quite a few people because I never even had to list my property. But the problem is they come in and they see how many, that there were a lot of repairs that needed to be done. And it was just every time something would happen, and it was just stressful because, I was in a situation to where I had a limited amount of time to where if I didn't find somebody to buy the property, the mortgage company was going to foreclose. So that was a very stressful process trying to find people on my own. And actually, Sell to Rent was referred to me by the other company that I didn't qualify for. And so they said, oh, try them. They'll help you. They can help anybody. And so then when I called them, even from the first conversation, I worked with several people there. They just made me feel like they were on my side. Like, we're going to figure this out and we're going to find somebody. And they did find some really good quality people. And so the best part was they had access to a network of investors. And I ended up going with an investor who I'm actually still in the house, by the way. So everything worked out perfectly. So they found an investor who bought the house and then rented it out to me. And so now I get to stay in the house and, I don't have to leave my home. So it actually was better than I expected.
I can imagine that was really stressful, and I'm glad we could help. When you first heard about staying in your home as a renter through Sell to Rent, what went through your mind?
Well, first of all, a lot of times when you're in a bad situation where, you're a few payments behind, it affects your credit score. And so when one late payment affects your credit score. So imagine having a large number of late pays, it affects your credit score tremendously. And so I wasn't able to, because what I started doing before I listed the house, before I made the decision to sell, I started looking for rentals, but I couldn't get approved anywhere because of my credit situation. So then that's when I realized, I'm like, oh, okay. So now I have to sell the home and if possible, find somebody who can rent it back to me, because I had seen a commercial or may have been an ad on social media, but it was for a different company and I didn't qualify. But it was difficult because, getting rejected by other companies because I didn't qualify. I'm like, well, I don't want to have to move and go back to my hometown with my dad. That was kind of my only option. And so when I found Sell to Rent, they were like, oh, no worries. We'll sell it and rent it back to you. I was like, what? And so, so that definitely worked out because it would have been really difficult for me to find somewhere else to rent with my credit situation.
Glad to hear that. We're here to help. What helped you trust Sell to Rent with such an important, life-changing decision?
I didn't trust them at first because I didn't know if, it would be something where, I was getting taken advantage of. But then once I talked to them and then they went above and beyond, and when they would, when certain things like, schedule certain appointments, or I'd have people working around the clock. So they gained my trust, because in the beginning I was just thinking, this is just, something that they do. I was just another client. But then because of them going above and beyond and spending extra time and doing all the extra things with me, that's when I felt like, oh, these people really give a damn.
Yes, we truly care about your situation. And now, how has the Sell to Rent solution changed the way you think about selling your property overall?
It gave me more options, because when you think of selling your home, you think, you have to go get a realtor, then you have to put it on the market, and you have to make all of these repairs. Because with my house, I had a lot of equity in my house, but it would have gotten eaten up by all the repairs, because there were so many repairs that, I've been in my house 21 years or so. A lot of the things, if it wasn't too big, I just didn't worry about them. But then, when you're trying to sell it, definitely plays a role. And so the way I look at it now is I feel like there are more options. options. And so if someone was in my situation, I would let them know that you don't have to foreclose. This is something where you have other people. You just have to keep and even with the mortgage company, once they found out that I was working with them, they kind of laid off and they decided not to move forward with the foreclosure. So that took a big, that took a lot of stress off of it too. But I would just tell people that they have options. You don't necessarily have to leave your home. There are other options out there.
Yeah, and we're here to be the best option for you.
Yeah.
Chasity, can you share how selling your home improved your financial situation?
Not only did I not have to leave my home, but I was able to sell it and I got money back. And I think one of the things people don't talk about is, when you've accumulated a lot of interest in your home, you either have to sell the home or refinance the home to get to have access to the interest. And in most cases, when you refinance, that's still, you pull money out. Now you have your mortgage payment is going up. So it's like, if you sell the home, then okay, now you have that money, but you got to find somewhere else to live. And so that's what, and I guess I never had thought that through, because I always felt like, well, I've been in this house so long, I have so much equity. But to be able to access it is, you have to have a certain credit score to be able to refinance. You have to, so I didn't factor in all those things. So now, now I know,
Nice. Why would you recommend sell to rent to others? And what would you say to homeowners who are in a similar situation to the one you were in?
I would just let them know that they do have options. I would recommend sell to rent simply because they were able to work with me and they were able to overlook my credit issues. And I think, because of the economy and because of a lot, first of all, to be in this situation, then we know you're in some type of financial turmoil, right? And so if you're in that situation, you may not necessarily be able to readily go out and, get another place or sell your home, or you may not have the time to sell it through more conventional methods. And so what I would tell someone is, if you're in that situation and, your credit may be compromised and you have to move quickly, I would tell them to use a company like Sell to Rent. It's actually a win-win because they get to come in and do what they do, where they have a network of investors and they get to find, somebody to buy the home. They get a small percentage. The investor gets ownership of the house. You get to stay in the house. So it's just everybody wins when you're in a situation like this and when you go through a company such as Sell to Rent.
Chasity, thank you for sharing your story. And if you're in a similar situation, click the link below and see how Sell to Rent can help you move forward.